أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات العلى الرحمن على العرش استوى له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما بينهما وما تحت الثرى وإن تجهر بالقول فإنه يعلم السر وأخفى الله لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Salam everybody. How are you? Good. I'm good too. Thank you for asking. Alhamdulillah. Good to see you guys. So let's just jump in because I have a lot to do and I think I'm not going to finish like even half of it. Amr was making fun of me earlier with my plans, so I don't get made fun of more. Let's get started, yeah? Here's what we did so far. For those of you that were here or not here, I think it's still good to kind of review. We kind of went over an overview of like Musa being mentioned so much, but he's mentioned in a lot of detail in 4 major places. And they're behind me, Taha, then Shu'ara, then Qasas and Ghafir. I meant to grade them out, but I totally forgot. Qasas and Ghafir we did. Qasas is it's okay, it happens. Qasas is the early life of Musa alayhi salam, like from being babyhood up until he got married and left home, okay? Home being Madian, his new home. Ghafir we did like it's way in the future at the butt end of the reign of the Pharaoh is where that Muslim guy that was hiding his Iman, like this is like equivalent to someone working for like the CIA and being a secret Muslim, or someone being a secret Muslim in the Knesset. Which by the way, someone in Israel actually, some lady, became Muslim in Israel and her family killed her. So it's a very alive story, right? I mean like it was so funny that happened after last Tanzeel because I'm like this is exactly what Allah was talking about. Like رَجُلٌ يَكْتُمُ إِيمَانَهُ, remember that? Like a man that was hiding his faith. By the way, I don't know if I harped on this last time, but that guy, Allah described him as a man, number 1. Number 2, he was hiding his face. Number 3, he said he was min ali Fir'aun. Right? That's significant. He was from the people of the Pharaoh. And he was still a believer. Think about that. Like think of being al-Israel and being a Muslim. You know what I mean? SubhanAllah. It just really opens your mind up to a lot of things. Anyway, we're done with Qasas, we're done with Ghafir. Remember we did that cool Yusuf and Musa comparison last time. Now we're going to cover some pretty chunky, meaty parts of this story. Okay, and it's almost a little bit nervous to start this. Before I start it though, I want to remind you guys something because I've been really, really troubled and worried lately about like what we do here at Tanzeel and what we do at all, because Quran is supposed to be this really living thing that actively changes the way you think and the way you behave. That's what Quran is kind of supposed to be. So what I do not want this program, and Qais is not here so I can say this. If you're the type of person that comes here because it makes you feel good, I invite you to not come anymore. That's not the purpose of this. I don't want this to be something that you come to and like, oh, I felt so good after learning that, or look how awesome that was, and you go home and then that's it, right? This is supposed to actively I'll use the word revolutionize. It's supposed to revolutionize you and I as individuals and also as a community. If it's not, then it's not really Quran. There's something missing. I don't know what's missing, but either something wrong with me or something wrong with all of us. I don't know. But if that's not happening, there's something missing in this thing we call Quran. Then we're just doing what most scholars in the world are doing, where it's just you're studying it and that's kind of it. You study it for fun and that's it. Or just for Dr. Farah Al-Sharif, I was listening to a lecture today. She was on the Thinking Muslim Pod. You guys see this one? Highly recommend it, wallah. She called it spiritual crack. People, they go to lectures and it's spiritual crack to them. They get a high and they go home. Especially Muslims in the West. That was a comment about me and you. Muslims in America specifically. That we treat these programs as spiritual crack. That we go, we learn, we feel good, and we leave. But this is supposed to do so much more for us. Why am I saying all of this? The story of Musa alayhi salam, I introduced this to you guys in the beginning, but one really big undertone, one really big theme in this entire story is revolution. That's a big theme of Musa alayhi salam, a huge theme. We learned about, for example, what a tyrant looks like in Qasas. We learned what it's like for men and women to be oppressed in Qasas. The template that you can copy and paste in so much Muslim history, right? It's not like, that was a very living thing that we studied in Qasas. And even some interpersonal problems someone under occupation might go through in Qasas too. A lot of complicated relationships with his own people. That the person he tried to save sold him out. Remember that? Just complicated stuff. That he's so tied to his people, but then he got kicked out by his people and had to. Wallah, really think about this part of the story so far. We knew from Qasas, he's so tied to the Muslims in Egypt. He's so tied to them emotionally, Musa. He grew up like realizing that like people that look like me, they get treated a different way. That's for arguably 30 years is when that story happened. Maybe 20, but I would argue probably 30. Wallahu alam, I don't know. But he's at least a young man. Imagine you're helping your people out. You're so dedicated to the cause of helping them, freeing them. And then you leave and you get married and work some dead-end job for 10 years in some other country. How that would feel. This is the story of many of our parents, by the way, isn't it? Especially those of us from Palestine or Sudan or Yemen, especially, and others as well, obviously. But a lot of these nations that our community is from, they left a home that they thought they'd never leave. And probably no fault of their own. They felt unsafe or they wanted a better life for the family or whatever. And they lived a normal life in America. Imagine the pain that a lot of those people feel, like especially of the last generation. Of like, I left my people behind. Maybe not all, maybe at least some though. Musa, certainly, probably. That he's working as a shepherd. We know. I didn't talk about his job. Oh no, I did. We know that he worked for his father-in-law. He worked as a shepherd for 10 years at least. Or at least 8, but knowing Musa, probably 10. Allahu alam. Probably 10 years. He probably did the bigger number because he's just that awesome, right? Remember the offer of like the mahad was like 8 or 10. If you do 10, it's a favor. Knowing him, he probably did the favor. Allahu alam. Right? But he worked maybe 10 years as a shepherd, which would to any of us feel like, what am I doing here? It's like you at corporate, when you finally nail that corporate job, like, what is this? If anyone here work a corporate job, you get dread when you do those spreadsheets, bro, wallah. You get dread, like midlife crisis at 25. Like you're doing you get existential dread. It's like, no time for that, time to do these spreadsheets, you know? Imagine like as a shepherd too. He's living a life so far away from people he know are being, his people that are being genocided. Well, it's just that I want to just tie everything I have said and will say into that point, that theme of revolution. Because if we're not taking what's happening around the world, around, you know what's happening, you don't know a lot what's happening too. We have so much eyes on Gaza, we lose eyes on so many other people that are going through, sorry to say, but even worse in Gaza. And that's from someone in Gaza saying we're not even going through the worst of it. That's not even me talking. Yusuf Reach, you know Yusuf Reach on YouTube? Beautiful, I think now 17-year-old young man in Gaza, chronicling his life and life of his younger brother, saying to the camera, we're not even probably Muslims going through the worst of it. But they have all the cameras on them. So there's so many things I know and I don't know, and so many things you know and you don't know. Because we're very, especially as Arab, to be honest, we're like donkeys sometimes, dude. Like, we live life like that sometimes, wallahi, really. Especially living in America. But this is a story that's supposed to remind us of that theme of revolution, and I want to keep that alive. Otherwise, what are we doing here? You know. So I want everything that we talk about is relevant, which is going to seem paradoxical to what today's going to be about. So let me get started with that. The last 2 episodes that we're going to do are in Taha and Shu'ara. Both of them, you're going to see on the mountain facing the Pharaoh. Both of them are conversations. That's all what the scene is in both of these stories. In Taha, it's just a conversation. In Shu'ara, it's just a conversation. Musa's talking to someone in Taha, and he's talking to someone in Shu'ara, and in other places. We'll get to that later, inshallah, okay? In Taha, it's a beautiful conversation. In Shu'ara, it's a disgusting conversation. In Taha, it's a conversation that built him up. In Shu'ara, it's a conversation that tried to what? Break him down. That's the overall theme, what's happening. Okay, and we'll get to that in a second, inshallah. First, I want to go over a little, let's do this intro, because I was going to skip it, wallah, but I feel like it's very relevant. Bismillah. We'll start from the beginning, okay? I was going to do a page and a half. I think that ship has already sailed. Okay. Bismillah. You guys ready? Taha. ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى. We have not sent down the Quran onto you so that you can be miserable. Who's you, by the way? عليك. Anytime ka is used, you go ahead. It's always the Prophet ﷺ. unless otherwise in a story. But it's most of the time, I'm used to class. If you is used out of context and you don't know who the you is, it's the Prophet ﷺ. We did not send down the Quran onto you so that you can be miserable. Why is this so relevant? I want you to pay attention. Again, under the theme of revolution, listen to this. Quran was an extremely heavy message. A couple of ayahs that give me shivers, man. Especially when you know the life of the Prophet ﷺ. An ayah that gives, I've never learned tafsir of it. I don't think I need to, man, because it just gives me shivers when you think about it. It was very close to the beginning of revelation. Allah said to the Prophet ﷺ, "Inna sanulqi," man, it gives me shivers, wallahi. "Inna sanulqi alayka qawlan thaqila." We are absolutely going to throw on you a really heavy word. That was like the intro to prophethood for him. Like, he didn't even know what that meant yet. And if you know the seerah, you probably feel it with me, that like you know what this word did. You know the exile that he had to be because of what those words did. You know the loss that he had to face because of these words. The loss that he had to face, the battles that he had to fight, literally and figuratively, the blood that had to be shed by him and his followers, Gaza, how you see some of them wearing stones as a belt, where do you think they got that from? This is from the Prophet. So he did that. They learned that from him. That's not something unique to them. He was going through. He was a starving prophet. For so much of his life, he was a starving prophet. A starving prophet. Well, think about that. And why did he become starving when he was so loved in Mecca? Thank you, Dana. Why was he so starving? Because we're going to throw on you a really heavy word. And while he's getting these, this is in Mecca, by the way. I don't want to go into detail what that means because we talked about that before. But this is at a time where he was a beloved person in his community, man. Like, everyone loved him. Everybody loved him. Like, if they had an argument, who resolved it? As-Sadiq al-Amin. They named him, they nicknamed him like the truthful one, the trustworthy one. If two people wanted to get a divorce, they would like get reconciliation from him. Like, that's what he was known for. He was known for being this beloved like character in Mecca. And all of a sudden he got this Quran and everyone hated him. Everyone humiliated him. The kids that saw him would throw rocks at him. There was a neighbor that would put like thorns outside of his doorstep so that he can cut his feet because, the thing he's saying. The Quran thing that he can't shut up about. And people started telling him that we used to love you, dude. And then this Quran thing happened and now everyone hates you. Like, this Quran thing is just making you miserable. And I want you to connect this to yourself, Allah, that like, you yourself, I myself too, if you really think about this for yourself, when you start taking deen seriously, you have your own awakening maybe, you start noticing that like, you start losing relationships in your life sometimes. People might not like the thing that you choose. Your mother, even your father, might not like, and might even make fun of you for the choices that you make. You go to the masjid, you grow a beard, you put on hijab, you listen to a lecture, you start saying like, you know what, Dad, I don't think I'm comfortable with like going to the liquor store, family business. I'm not down with it anymore. I'm too afraid of Allah. Too afraid of Allah. I'm your father. Those conversations, you know what I mean? As if like father is those conversations. And then Quran starts feeling really qawlan thaqila, really heavy. And you start thinking like, man, life was so good before this thing. And here's Allah saying to the Prophet, the one who went through that, what I just described in the most ultimate way, we did not at all throw this Quran or send this Quran down to you to make you miserable. Shaqi or shaqa is to be miserable, to be overworked, to be grief-struck, to be anxious, to make you anxious even, to make you sad. The word ma here, by the way, actually implies it's not only negating that that's not why I sent you Quran, it's actually to hint that we're actually trying to do the opposite. What's the opposite of making someone depressed? Yeah, it's actually, there's two things being said here. We did not at all send it down on you so that you can be depressed. Actually, we sent it down on you so you can spread what? So you yourself can be joyed and spread what also? Joy. That was the purpose of this thing. So it's like Allah so far is just consoling the Messenger ﷺ, okay? إِلَّا تَذْكِرَةً لِمَنْ يَخْشَى. We only sent it, the only reason we sent it is as a reminder for those that fear even a little bit. لِمَنْ يَخْشَى تَنزِيلًا. There's going to be something, by the way, in this intro. I want those of you astute enough, pay attention. Something's happening here that I want you to think about, okay? Try to think about like what's being said. I'm not going to say anything more than that. And try to find a bit of a theme, okay? There's something these kind of a little bit have in common. Tanzeelan, a revelation. مِمَّنْ خَلَقَ الْأَرْضَ وَالسَّمَاوَاتِ الْعُلَى. A revelation from whoever sent, from the one who created the earth and the highest skies. Ar-Rahman, the incredibly and extremely loving and caring. عَلَى الْعَرْشِ اسْتَوَى. He stationed himself on his throne, on the throne. لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ. He possesses whatever is in the skies. وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And whatever is in the earth. وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا. And whatever is in between them. وَمَا تَحْتَ الثَّرَى. And even whatever is underneath the soil. وَإِن تَجْهَرْ بِالْقَوْلِ. And if you were to be تجهر, if you were to be open with your speech, فَإِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ وَأَخْفَى. Then he absolutely knows the secret. وَأَخْفَى. And what's even more secret than a secret. Like you don't even know what it is. You know? There's like, you know of it, but you don't know details. That's a secret. Like, what is it? I'm not telling you. Like, that's a secret. But when you're just oblivious, you don't even know what's happening around you, that's akhfa. It's even more of a secret that he knows. By the way, he said that after you saying, if you were to be outspoken, then he knows the secret. Like even the words that you say, you're not fooling him because he knows the secret. And he even knows about you that you haven't even thought about. You don't even know that you need to figure it out. You don't even know that it's a secret. Wa akhfa. It's actually about us. Allahu la ilaha illahu. Allah, there is absolutely nothing worthy of worship except for Him. Lahul asma'ul husna. He has the most beautiful names. Okay, that's before the story starts. That's the intro. Anyone notice anything?
Like up and down.
Do you know that already?
Yeah.
Good job. Very good job. If you notice something, and this is very relevant to the conversation we're going to have, and this is going to continue throughout the entire story of Taha, by the way. So I'm not going to bring this up again, unless I have no self-control, which I probably don't, but you need to notice this as we continue. Here's what's happening. He started off, like everything in blue is kind of like, there's a lot of love in it. مَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ تَشْقَى. We did not send down the Quran so that you could be miserable, so that you could have misery. Ar-Rahman, the incredibly loving and caring. But what's in between there? Except for a reminder for those to fear. Tanzeelan, a revelation from the one who created the skies and the earth. There's like this, Rahman is Azza. There's love and there's beauty in that aspect of our relationship with Him. And then there's the authority, that aspect. Even, listen to Ar-Rahman, the most loving and caring. عَلَى الْعَرْشِ اسْتَوَى. He stationed Himself on the throne. He's extremely loving, but you better obey. These two things connecting. He owns whatever's in the skies and the earth and everything in between and everything under the soil. And if you were to be loud in your speech, He knows your secrets. It's an intimate thing now. Allah, again, there's this majesty. La ilaha illahu. Lahul asma'ul husna. He has the most beautiful names. There's this like hot and cold going on. You know why this is significant? I want to give you an example to kind of teach you the significance, okay? And I'll spell it out later. You know when you want to like make something out of metal? Is anyone here like a blacksmith or have like a similar job? I know it's weird. My brother actually does this stuff. Like, anyone here like bend metal or anything like that? Fashions, a crafter even? No? So when you want to bend, my dad does this a little bit. And my brother, mashallah, they're good at this stuff. They're good with their hands. When they want to like bend metal, like they buy a piece of metal, but it's like the wrong angle. So they have to like make it 90 degrees or 45 or whatever. What do you have to do to metal to bend it? You have to add a lot of heat. And then because if you don't have heat and what happens? It breaks. The piece of metal will probably break if it's brittle enough. But if you want to make sure that it bends the way that you need to, you apply a lot of heat and then you slowly, carefully, gently bend. Right? And then maybe that's not good enough, so then you apply heat again. And then you bend and you let it cool, and then you apply heat again. You get what I'm getting at here? This story, I told you that there's two conversations, right? Taha, is it the beautiful one or the disgusting one? It's the beautiful one. It's actually the conversation with Allah. That's what's happening in Taha. And this conversation, I'll spoil it a little bit, is going to be essentially an orientation for Musa alayhi salam. Allah's preparing you and me, and this preparation, this orientation, remember I told you this is about revolution, right? How do you prepare a person for revolution? You apply heat, and you let them cool down. And you apply heat, and you let them cool down. Meaning you and I are supposed to pay, Allah is teaching us through these ayahs, we're supposed to pay very close attention to Allah as our authority, and then Allah as our friend. We are really good at picking and choosing those. Really, really good. I feel like even if you think about a Muslim, you're thinking about a person that has either extreme. You're thinking about someone that's a little bit too lenient because Allah knows what I'm up to. Like we're cool. Me and him, like we got this backroom agreement, like we're cool. And then you have people that are so just wallah, I was gonna say rude, but wallah, mostly evil. Muslims that are just evil. That the way that they impose Islam on other people is just to highlight their own authority, essentially. And Allah is highlighting that you are supposed to have both in your heart. This fear of this authority, because He is your authority. And then this love from your friend, because He is your closest friend. That's supposed to be in your heart. And it's supposed, what Quran does all the time, by the way, is bring you back. Think of Fatiha, man. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. This happens to you every day. He's the most extremely and constantly loving and caring. And He's also the master of the day of judgment where you're going to stand in front of Him. Both are true. Let that heat you up and cool you down. Because He's preparing you for something. Speaking of preparing, then we enter the story. وَهَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ مُوسَى. And have we not given you, and has the story of, or have we not, no, has the story of Musa not reached you? Has the story of Musa not reached you? You know, I'll pick up where we left off last time. Last time we saw Musa a.s. in a story, not his friend, but him. What was he doing? What did he do? What's the last thing we talked about in Qasas? Yeah, he got married. Okay. And then the deal with his father-in-law was, you work for me for 8 years or for 10 years. Okay. He finished, and we learned in Qasas, if I were to continue, فَلَمَّا قَضَى مُوسَى الْأَجَلِ. When Musa, finished the appointed time, meaning he did either 8 or 10, and when he finished the appointed time, سَارَ بِأَهْلِهِ. He actually traveled with his family, which now we learn in that time of like 8 to 10 years, he actually had kids. The Bible says he had 2 sons, Allahu Alam if that's true, but he had at least some kids, okay? And he traveled with his wife and his kids and traveled into the desert, and they got lost while they're in the desert. I want to pause right here because there's something interesting that I learned about. In the Bible, not in the Quran, okay, now we're shifting now from the Quran to the Bible. In the Quran, he's traveling with who? His family. In the Bible, he's traveling with his sheep. So it's not his wife and kids, it's a sheep. I know why you're laughing. This is in the Old Testament, by the way. This is like a Jewish text, primarily. Okay. Primarily. It's like their not only book, but like this is their book. Anyway. There's a reason why there's a motivation why they want to get rid of the family in the Bible. I'll teach you that motivation. In the Jewish tradition, like in Islam, like we carry lineage to the father. What is it in Ahzab? سَمُّوهُمْ لِآبَائِهِمْ. Is that what it is? أُدْعُوهُمْ لِآبَائِهِمْ. Call them by their father's name. Meaning they're supposed, like, their father's name should be somewhere in the kid's name. Is essentially like a teaching in our deen. Okay. In Jewish tradition, though, it's not by the father, it's by who? The mother. Okay. In Judaism, they kind of, especially nowadays, more so nowadays, but like it's kind of been there, they really merge the idea of ethnicity and religion together. Like in Islam, it matters nothing where you're from. Islam is a very open source deen, okay? In Judaism, though, if you go to a rabbi and say, hey, I want to convert, I've seen this wallahi happen to my own eyes, in front of my own eyes, and I took a Jewish studies class at UIC, which was weird, but I took a Jewish studies class. I mean, no, the class was weird. I thought it was a good idea, but I argued with the rabbi guy. It was a rabbi and everything. That I argued with him at one point, and he was very weird the way he argued. But anyway, some girl was like, "Oh yeah," she dropped out of the class after 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why right now. She looked like 23andMe and found out she's like 50% Jewish or something. So she's like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about converting," and the rabbi's like, "Why would you do that?" Can you imagine you go to a Muslim and they're like, look, I don't recommend it. I give it like 2 out of 5 stars. So there's something about like really keeping the ethnicity very pure. I think that speaks for itself, especially in certain parts of the world, hint, hint, but very pure in their faith. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Okay. Remind me, where do they trace lineage from, the father or the mother? Musa a.s. married an Arab. This is even I checked, this is according to their book too, Midian. That same name, because he went to Midian. They call it Midian in English at least, Midian in the Old Testament. So what does that mean about his children? Oops. Actually, I think it was a sheep. Yeah, no wife and kids. They were left at home. Yeah, it was a sheep. He loved the sheep. You know, like when they say like they changed the word of Allah with their hands. Disgusting stuff. Yeah. You know, in the Bible in Hebrew, there's this place that they claim they don't know exactly where it is. It was lost to tradition that every prophet visited, and it was called Sekka. Yeah, okay. Sekka, yeah. They changed the book with their own hand, right? We do it too, by the way, but not with Quran. We do it in a lot of other fun ways, but we do it too. Anyway. But anyway, here he's traveling with who? Not a sheep.
His family.
Yeah, not Bob, but Bob, right? Like, no, anyway. إِذْ رَأَى نَارًا. So he's traveling. And then he saw a fire. He's traveling with his family. They're lost in the desert, and he sees a fire. So, by the way, if he sees a fire from afar, what time of day is it? It's nighttime. When he saw a fire, فَقَالَ لِأَهْلِهِمْ كُثُوا. So he said to his family, that's where it's pointed there, كُثُوا, wait here. إِنِّي آنَسْتُ نَارًا. This is weird. Listen to this. إِنِّي آنَسْتُ نَارًا. I swear I see a fire. I swear I saw a fire. Actually, it's not even mudari, it's madin. I swear I saw a fire. Well, why do you have to say I swear? Right? That's weird. Anastu naran would have been I see a fire, or I saw a fire, right? By the way, anasa, it's like he felt the fire. So like he saw a fire and he's like, it wasn't just that he saw it, but like something about it like drew him closer. So he saw the fire and he's like, anastu naran. And then they look out and they're like, Ayinar, what nar? What are you talking about? I don't see a fire. No, inni anastu naran. No, I swear I saw a fire. And I felt it. Like it's drawing me close. And umkuthu, like wait here. You know, like I promise I saw it. Just wait here and I'll go check it out. So he saw a fire, and the hint here maybe is that like his family didn't know what he was talking about. Like they didn't see it, but only he saw it. Does that make sense? Now, this is a lesson that potentially we can get from this, wallah, is like, because we know what this fire ends up being. Spoiler alert, we know what this fire ends up being. Sometimes, wallah, especially within your family or in your group of friends, like, you kind of get ahead of them with deen, you know? Like, you fall in love with Allah all over again, or you like really get into Quran, and you really start to take the deen seriously and stuff like that. And family sometimes doesn't catch up with you. And then your knee-jerk reaction is what? To debate them like crazy, you know what I mean? To hit them over the head with like, didn't you see these scientific miracles? Are you crazy? Are you kafir? Like we have really weird conversations with our mom and dad and brothers and sisters. When it comes, I've been there for sure, you know? Like I was really dumb, mashallah, when I first kind of took this stuff seriously. And like the way I treated my family was not great sometimes, wallah, to like my younger brothers. Because it's like you get this overzealousness, you know what I mean? And then you start to kind of like hit people on the head with it. And the way Musa, because we know this fire is not just a fire. It's very pointed, by the way. We're going to soon learn, like, you know, maybe I'll get guidance from it. Like a double entendre, basically, right? Like, I'll get guidance from the fire. It's, you know, it's double meaning there. Because he really does get guidance, but not the kind he expected. But he sees and he feels this fire. Like, he sees the guidance. He feels it. He accepts it. He insists on it even. Kind of like when you and I start taking deen seriously. But his family's not totally there yet. And the way he treated his family was like, you guys wait here. Umkuthu. Makath, by the way, is to wait here and to wait like in anticipation. Like, wait, I'm going to bring you back something. Okay? And I'll go further a little bit with it. Umkuthu inni anastu naran la'alli atikum minha biqabasin. So that maybe I can bring you all a torch. You know, because it's the middle of the night, so he goes and gets a torch, and that way it provides some warmth, it provides some light. Fire keeps you safe from animals in the middle of the desert, right? Like you can see in front of you, but also animals kind of get scared away from it and that kind of stuff. They can use it as a weapon or whatever. أَوْ أَجِدُ عَلَى النَّارِ هُدَى. Or maybe I can find guidance, like maybe there's people over there, and I can find guidance, someone there, because if there's fire, there's people. I'll find guidance to kind of like get out of the desert and everything. Even though his family was not keeping up, is what I'm trying to say. Even though they're not keeping up, he's number one, patient with them. And he's actually, the way he's thinking about it is like, even though you're not there yet, I want to benefit you with this thing. You get what I'm getting at here? sometimes your family's not going to keep up, but the way you're supposed to treat them is like one time, I got this advice one time, okay? Because there was someone in my life that I loved that just was not listening to me. Okay, and they would text me all the time, like, going to a concert today. And he knew it would bother me, but he would say it anyway. Going to a concert today, going to this today. And I'm like, I love you, and I feel like every time I say something that you shouldn't do something, you get mad, but I don't know what to do. Like, I was afraid I'm driving them away. So I actually asked Ustaz the men about this when I was in Texas. And you know what advice he gave me? Is this mature to share this with you? I think so. You better be mature about this, though, okay? Because I was worried, because he shouldn't be doing this. He shouldn't be going to these places. Okay. So he gave me the advice, next time he tells you he's going to a party, tell him, I hope you have a good time. And I was like, what? You know? The idea was, he taught me, don't focus necessarily on hitting them over the head with stuff. Focus on how you treat them. The fact that he was telling me this stuff means that he trusts me. And sometimes that trust can be like a little bit of like sparks that start a fire, you know what I mean? But if you throw that back in their face, that trust, then they're not going to come back to you with anything anymore. The one other piece of advice I got was, if you really want to like help your family out, start buying them gifts. They should see in you why this thing is so important. You wouldn't have to debate with them if you were doing it right. There's no reason to debate with them. And they're not going to listen to your points anyway. Your uncle doesn't care if you're smart, you know? Your brothers and sisters, they don't care what you know. They really don't care. And they shouldn't care, honestly. Like, you're not that big a deal, right? But they're going to care how you treat them. You need, like, in your character to show them, like, who you are, right? So there's something that we could take from that. But anyway, he sees this fire, and he's like, maybe I can get a torch, or I can get some guidance from it. And this is so ironic with what actually he gets up there, right? Because he speaks with Allah. So this guidance that he got, he was thinking he was going to get guidance for his family, but he got guidance for nearly 1 million people in Egypt. SubhanAllah. So it's very like, it's you because sometimes you wonder, like, why does Allah even tell us this part of the story that he's lost in the desert and like he's arguing with his family and he goes sees a fire? Is to show you that like sometimes you really have no idea what plan Allah has for you, you know? SubhanAllah. فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا. Then eventually, after a while, so he's climbing up this mountain because it's really, really high up, okay? فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا نُودِيَ. It was called out to him. Notice that we don't know the doer, majhul, right? Those of you that know, majhul, nudiya, ui, okay? Nudiya ya Musa. It was called out. So he climbed up on top of the mountain, right? Mountain climbing, safe or dangerous, by the way? Very dangerous. He gets to the top, so there's nowhere he can really run. And it was called out to him loudly, because nada is to call loudly, as if someone is far away. Like if I'm screaming at a kid in the very, very back of the room, I would do nida. Hey! That's nida, okay? Nudiya. It was called out to him, and he doesn't know who's called. He doesn't know who's talking. Ya Musa! Which you don't translate that as, no, not Ya Siri. Ya Musa. Ya Musa. You don't translate Ya as oh, by the way. Just that sounds really, oh Moses. No, just Musa. Hey Musa. Okay? Now put yourself in his shoes right now, right? Number one, who the heck is talking? And who the heck knows my name? Right? I'm nowhere right now. It's like if you were like driving on the highway, your car breaks down and someone behind you goes, hey, Shadi. I don't have concealed carry, dude, please leave. You know, freaked out. But he's on top of the mountain, so where can he go? Nowhere, so he's just like stunned. Rather remember like hot and cold, right? So now right now he's very scared. Anyway, Inni ana rabbuk. No doubt about it, I am your master, I am your owner. Rabb, owner. I own you. We're property of Allah. فَخْلَعْنَا عَلَيْكَ. Take off your shoes. إِنَّكَ بِالْوَادِ الْمُقَدَّسِ طُوَى. You are definitely in the sacred land of Tuwa. This is the land of like on top of the mountain that Musa was in. What is this take off your shoes business? You guys know, like when we walk in the masjid, what do you all do? What do we do? And what do we do that for? Respect. It's a sign of respect. Musa is in this like the most, at least up until this part in human history, because Prophet has even a bigger conversation than this. But at this point in human history, even up until Muhammad ﷺ, this was the most epic meeting a human being has ever had. It was like you're talking directly with Allah. This did not happen before him, and I'm fairly certain it did not happen after him either, Allahu Alam, except for the Prophet ﷺ. Like he's given this nickname Kalim Allah, Musa, the one who talked to Allah, right? So while he's talking to Allah, which by the way, when we come to the masjid, what are we doing? We're talking to Allah. And we take off the shoes as a sign of respect. Same way as like, not in every culture, but in most cultures, you take off your shoes and you go to someone's home as a sign of respect. I'm not going to spread my filth around on the floor of your home. Likewise, we don't spread the filth under our shoes and step all over the sacred place of Allah, like a masjid, for example, okay? But someone else connected this. I don't know how strong this connection is, but I'll say it anyway. Especially back in the day, shoes were a status symbol. Like the kind of, and even today, wallah, like there's people that wear like shoes that I wear, and there's people that wear like I think I have a client who has a shoe collection, and I think he said it's worth like $5,000 total. And they're just shoes. And he like frames them or something. I don't know. Like he does, whatever. I'm not gonna make like what you can do whatever you want with your money, but you see what I mean? Like some shoes are like a status symbol, right? Like you can tell by someone's shoes, like, oh man, he's either really rich or he's really trying to impress someone and he's broke. It's one of the two. But this is like a way that we're taking off our status when we go to the masjid. By the way, like nowadays we see disrespect as like a kid screaming in the masjid. And that's not at all disrespectful. I will say, our masjid, like masjids in our area especially, when a kid screams, what do? Like, death stare, dude. Like, really scary stares. I used to say this a lot back in like FNL days, like over a decade ago, that you better not dare allow a kid to see your face unless you're smiling in the masjid. Don't you dare let them see your face unless you're smiling. You can't do that, because then they feel it. When you frown at them, wallahi, they feel it. And they will forever, I don't care if they're 3 years old, they will forever remember how they felt while they're in the masjid. We treat kids, and sometimes even women, as disrespect in the masjid. Sometimes, wallah. I'll be honest. Sometimes we do. And in reality, disrespect is actually you flaunting status in the masjid. That's disrespect. Disrespect is that you don't check yourself at the door. You check your nafs at the door. And we do this without our shoes, but we'll highlight like our status or our position or our profession or our wealth or whatever else, especially our ethnicity. That definitely happens. Like you don't really have to hang on the door, hey, this is a Palestinian only masjid. You just have to give people looks. It works on kids and people outside of your ethnicity. Very easy. That's disrespect to the house of Allah, by the way. Not kids screaming and playing. But this is fakhran alayk. It's supposed to be out of respect. But anyway, going back to the story, you are standing on sacred ground. Wa ana akhtartuka. Remember I told you in the chat. This surah is very near and dear to my heart, and this is one of the big reasons. Wa ana akhtartuka. And I have ikhtiyar is interesting. What's khair? You know what khair is? It's just good. It means good. Ikhtiyar is to choose someone because you see good in them. That's ikhtiyar. It's a similar, it's from the word khair. But it's to choose someone because you see good in them. Now, Allah chooses every prophet because He sees good in them. So why is He highlighting this here? Like, why would He tell Musa directly? I don't know if He says this to any other prophet directly, Allah. I don't know if He does that to any other prophet. Why tell this prophet, this man, Musa specifically, I see good in you? Is there a reason why Musa might not see good in himself? The murder, to be quite frank. He carried that murder. We're going to learn in this surah how he emotionally dealt with that, by the way. That was a big deal for him. That murder did not leave his mind in the last decade. So Allah highlights to him, I've chosen you because of the good that I see in you. فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى. So you had better listen to what's about to be revealed. You better listen to what I'm about to say. إِنَّنِي أَنَا اللَّهُ. No doubt about it, I swear I am Allah. La ilaha illa ana. Really, students, you might know, ana, I, Allah rarely ever uses I in Quran. Rarely ever. He uses nahnu very famously, we very famously, like we created, or he'll use huwa, he created. Ana, like when he says I, like talks about himself in the first person, it is either there's so much love there or you should be afraid. There is no casual moment where Allah uses ana. Innani ana Allah. No doubt about it, I am Allah. La ilaha illa ana. There is no deity, there's nothing worthy of worship except for me. Fa'budni. So worship, not even worship me, enslave yourself to me. He's saying this to who? Musa alayhi salam, فَعْبُدْنِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. This is interesting. Musa's talking to Allah directly. Do you think he's ever gonna forget this, like ever in his life? Like you meet someone who's like semi-famous, like an extra on Chicago Fire or something stupid like that, and you like take a picture and show it off and hang it on your fridge, and you like never forget it, as if that was like even a big deal. But like anytime that you and I meet someone famous, like I'm never gonna wash his hand. We get really weird with it, like that SpongeBob episode, like with Bubble Buddy, you know. I don't know why that popped in my head, but like Bubble Buddy, right? Anyway. This is Musa talking to Allah. Like he's never, ever, ever going to forget this. In fact, we learn later on in Taha, in the same surah, that he gets a second chance to talk to him directly on top of a mountain again, and he runs to go see him because he's like, I can't wait to experience that again. He will never in his life forget this moment. And still, what does Allah say? فَعْبُدْنِي, enslave yourself to me, وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. And if you really want to remember me, if you really want to remember this right now, then establish prayer to remember me. The one that he's talking to directly is being told, if you really want to remember me, this actually isn't it. If you want to remember me, what should you be doing? Establish salah. And before I talk about that, let me actually move on because it's tied to the next thing being said. There's something called iltifat, like subject changes. It happens all the time, okay? But these are not random changes. There's necessarily a connection between topic A and topic B, always. You just have to think about it. Allah doesn't always spell it out for you. You have to really the Quran is a book of thinking more than it's a book of knowledge. So you have to really, Allah gave us to intelligent human beings. He expects you to use your intelligence. So listen, the first command, enslave yourself to me. How should you do it? Establish prayer to remember me. And then the third thing, inna sa'ata atiyatun. It's as if it's a subject change. It's no longer a commandments anymore. No doubt about it, the hour is coming. What's the hour, by the way? Judgment Day. Inna sa'ata atiyatun. It's coming. Akadu ukhfiha. I've barely hidden it. I've barely kept it hidden. لِتُجَزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا تَسْعَى. To reward or to pay back, not even reward, to pay back every single person with whatever they rush to, whatever efforts they put in. Okay? Allah is inextricably connected. I can't even say that we're talking about now. He's necessarily connecting salah with what? Judgment Day. I think I've connected this to you before, but I'm going to highlight it here again. Think about salah with me really fast. Like why? I need you guys to think this way when it comes to deen. Like why did Allah even make the? Like why is this the thing? Like salah is everything. Judgment Day, you meet Allah. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that there is one thing that's being asked about. That if it's good, then the book gets opened up, and if it's not, the book is thrown because it doesn't even matter. You're cooked. That's essentially how Judgment Day works. And what is that thing? It's salah. Okay, this is huge. Why is this specifically huge, spiritually speaking? Why is I get fiqh-wise, it's important. Why though? I want you to, this is Allah spelling that out for us right now. When you're in salah, can you speak? Can you move around? Can you step to the side, or if someone walks in, can you break and whatever? You know what I learned, by the way? Not only for example, this has literally happened to someone that I know. They're praying and their first daughter took her first steps while he's praying. Does he get to be like, oh my God? Is he allowed to do that? He had to keep his eyes down. This is salah. This is more important than your kids for taking your first steps. I don't care how extreme that sounds. This is more important. That's what we believe. Okay? That's what we believe. This is more important. I don't care who's crying or whatever. We're praying right now. Even to the extent, for example, I asked Sheikh Hassan this, if you start dhuhr, but in your mind you started asr, which is not correct, right? You're supposed to have intention for dhuhr, for example, right? You know what you're supposed to do? You're not allowed to just break. You're actually supposed to finish and then start over. You are not allowed to break that conversation for literally another salah. You're not even allowed to break it. This is it really ghalid. It's really intense, this contract we have. You're not allowed to eat or speak or talk out of turn. Here are the things you're allowed to say. Here are the things you're not allowed to say. You're allowed to make these movements. You're not allowed to make these movements. You are going to say the thing that I said, Quran, and then you're allowed to speak when you're in sujood, but you're not allowed to speak before. Right? Think about Judgment Day. In Judgment Day, are you standing still? Are you looking down out of respect? خَاشِيَةً أَبْصَارُهُمْ, by the way. Their eyes are afraid. تَرْهَقُهُمْ ذِلَّةٌ. Weights are on their back. You're standing and you're looking down. Are you allowed to speak unless spoken to? Nope. Is he narrating onto you the things that you've done? And then only afterwards might you be able to speak? Are you only allowed to move when commanded? You know, by the way, on Judgment Day, in Taha this happens by the way. Allah describes that day as you will hear nothing except footsteps. Can you imagine every human that ever lived stampeding towards, by the way, Allah says they stampede towards one goal. They all intrinsically know exactly where to go. They don't know why, but they're going to a specific place. All of us will know this. All of us, our parents, our grandparents, our mommies, our daddies, our children, our grandchildren will go to one place just because inside Allah tells them, commands them to go. But they're not going to be what? Because they haven't been commanded to yet. But they're running. You hear footsteps. All those footsteps. You can't even keep 4 friends together shutting up. You can't even do that. All of humanity though, Allah, you're no longer allowed to flap your mouth. And when you get there, you know there's going to be a call to sujood. Do you guys know that? There's going to be a call to sujood on Judgment Day. This is in Quran. Forgive me, this is, I forgot. I can't remember if this is Maryam or Qalam. I forgot. Forgive me, I forgot. It's in the second to last juz. I forgot the surah though. Is it Qalam? Yeah, thank you very much. وَقَالَ يُدْعَوْنَ سُجُودُهُمْ سَالِمُونَ. On Judgment Day, you're going to be called to sujood. All of humanity, when they're gathered up and you stop hearing the footsteps, but still no one's speaking, they're in front of Allah and they're looking down out of respect. Okay? And Allah calls humanity to sujood. And not everyone will actually be allowed to make sujood. Only people that did sujood here will be allowed to make sujood there. It's like the first differentiation of like everyone else like standing up is like, oh my God, I can't move. You see what I'm getting at with this? Salah is Day of Judgment practice. You're not allowed to speak. You're not allowed to move. You're supposed to look down out of respect. You're supposed to feel a fear. It's supposed to cause something, stir something in you. That's what it's supposed to do. When you detach Judgment Day from Salah, that's why your Salah doesn't feel like anything, by the way. Not that Salah is supposed to feel like something, mind you. Salah is just a responsibility. Sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't. I don't care if you feel it. Allah doesn't care if you feel it. But this is why it's not doing anything for you. I'll word it like that. This is why it's not significant to you. And to me, I'm saying you as if I'm not part of this. I'm probably worst one in the room, Allah. But this is why it doesn't do anything. Is because we're not understanding we're in front of Allah. Like, this is going to happen in a much more serious circumstance soon. Exactly the way that you're standing. When you're like this, that's going to happen on a day where that's it. This is it. What you've done, it's done. That's it. The inks have dried, the Prophet said. The inks have dried up and the books are closed. Can't do anything. Life has passed. Allah is combining these two things together. So beautiful. A lot of fear happening here, right, by the way? Thank you. Inna sa'ata atiyatun akadu ukhfiha. I've almost hidden it. Hasn't Allah? Allah's hidden it. Do we know the day? No. There's a wisdom, by the way, behind like humanity not knowing the day. If humanity knew when the Day of Judgment was, what do you think they would do? Procrastinate until the very last minute. It being hidden, even before, forget Judgment Day, the day of your death being hidden is supposed to be a motivator by itself. Because 99.9% of humanity would live it up until the last hour if they knew when they were going to die. There is an intrinsic motivation to not knowing that day, let alone the day of your death. I have almost hidden it. Almost hidden it is interesting. Don't we know a little bit when Judgment Day is coming? A little bit? You know the last biggest event that happens before Judgment Day? Does anyone know what it is? Kaaba getting destroyed? The Quran, period. The Quran. That was the last major event before Judgment Day in the eyes of Allah. This was, to us, a long time ago. In the grand scheme of human history, not too long ago, but that was a long time ago. That was the last major event. The Prophet came with a warning that it's here, essentially. You know, there was a hadith where Adam a.s. met all of humanity, and then prophets were given a special, remember we talked about this a long time ago. Anyway, he was given the seal, all prophets in that line, it's a lineup of all human beings. And Adam a.s., the ultimate father, he's walking through, and this prophet's marked with this line of, or this extra light, I think, out of the forehead, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he noticed someone really special. And he's like, who's this one? And someone told him, I don't remember who told him, but someone told him, this is going to be a son of yours who's going to be a prophet that's going to be towards the end of times. Do you know who that man was? Dawood, not even Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Dawood alayhi salam. That was a prophet towards the end of time. I call this out because, Yani, this is, I think we're living in a time where, like, really we're seeing this, like, live streamed, these signs of Judgment Day, wallahi, you know? And Allah's saying here, أَكَادُ أُخْفِيهَا, I've almost kept it hidden. لِتُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا تَسْعَى, to reward every single individual with whatever it was that they rushed to. Not even what they, you could say what they earned, but what they rushed towards. What are you in a hurry for? You know, a big test, wallah, is like after your salah, what do you, like, get up really quickly? What do you go to? What are you doing afterwards? Are you rushing to go back to your movie? Are you rushing to go back to worse than that? What are you rushing for? What are you in a hurry for all the time? Is it just work? Is that it? You're just in a hurry for work? Is that, you're just a rat, literally? You're just a rat on a wheel that they put you in? That's what you hurry for? That's it? You just want to be like everyone else, where you rush to work and you rush back home to watch TV, and then you rush to the bar and you rush back on Monday morning back. That's what you want? That's what you know, what you want to rush towards? Allah's saying, I'm going to reward everyone with what they rush towards. You know what's beautiful about this that really helped me out today? We are not rewarded for the accomplishments that we do, actually. Actually, the accomplishments in our deen, they don't even matter. It's actually a little bit irrelevant what we accomplish. You know what's relevant? The efforts. That's relevant. Today, I drove down to that protest that happened on Michigan and WAC or whatever, and I almost missed it because it's Lollapalooza today. And I knew it was Lollapalooza because everyone's naked today in the city. So I was like, what the? Oh, it's Lolla. You know, because I used to work in the city. I'm like, yeah, it's Lollapalooza. Okay. You know, that's a telltale sign of Lollapalooza, by the way. But anyway, everyone's naked, and I'm like, oh, it's Lolla. So it took me an extra, like, hour to get to the protest, and I'm like, I probably missed the whole thing. I don't even know where they're going. I barely know where they're meeting, you know? And I still have to park and all that kind of stuff. And then I remember this side because I was studying it right before for you guys today, and I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter if I make it. It matters if I rush towards it. It matters if I tried. It's actually irrelevant if I make it. Which is such a beautiful thing, wallah. You are not judged by the outcome. That's all up to Allah, the outcome. There are men and women that did so little, and Allah made nations spring out of that little effort. And there are men and women that spent their whole lives doing one thing, and it wasn't until their students, or their great-great-grandson that then it became something. Has that not happened a million times before in history? Because those men and women knew it actually doesn't matter. What matters is that I try. That's what Allah sees. And then that's what the reward is, subhanAllah, right? It's for the effort. Such a beautiful thing. فَلَا يَصُدَّنَّكَ عَنْهَا. Listen to this closely, guys. فَلَا يَصُدَّنَّكَ عَنْهَا مَنْ لَا يُؤْمِنُ بِهَا. You better not allow those that don't believe in that day to divert you away from that day. فَلَا يَصُدَّنَّكَ, by the way, right? This is tawqid, noon tawqid. You better not allow those that don't care about this day at all to take you or divert your attention away from it. وَاتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ فَتَرْدَى. And he also, what's another quality of these people that try to divert you away, that don't believe in it? اتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ. They just follow their feelings. That's all they care about. They follow their feelings and their desires. That's essentially their religion. فَتَرْدَى. Then you might fall down, which is a scary thing to tell someone that's on top of a what? You might fall. If you follow them, you might fall. He's looking back like, okay, I don't want to do that, you know? But you know what's interesting? There was a study done. I learned this from Ustaz Naman when I was studying this. There's a study done with Americans. There's a study done with Americans that it was a study about how they see morality and ethics, like right and wrong, okay? You know, so many, like one staple of like American culture when it comes to morality is actually that we base right and wrong with how we feel about things. Literally, ittaba hawahu. That's become like a staple of our nation, of our country as Americans, is that we judge right and wrong on a major scale and a minor scale with just how we feel about it. I don't know, it just really vibes with me, you know, like I just don't really care, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like to each their own, you know what I mean? That's ittaba hawahu. That's not good enough. You know, I want you to, I'll end with this, inshallah. I really needed to do more, but it's okay. Judgment Day is an extremely important and significant thing in our psyche, not even in our religion, to our psychology. It's an extremely important thing. This is a day of accountability. Allah is calling a difference between people who believe in accountability and people who don't believe in accountability. And He's calling a difference between those two people. Do not follow the people who don't believe in accountability itself. Those people, when they don't believe in accountability, they basically become animals. They just follow their desires. Whatever they feel like doing that day, just like a bear would, or just like a monkey would, they just do that. They wake up and they want to eat fruit and fling their poop, and that's what they do all day, just in different varieties. They don't fling poop, but they do other stupid things. People that believe in accountability, those are Muslims. People that believe like someday I'm going to be held accountable for everything that I do. I had better, you know the idea of like YOLO, right? This is like old, I know this, like I'm aging myself here, but like this idea of like you only live once. And that was shared, when you think about it in terms of death, which that's what like our Western mentality does, is it brings YOLO in terms of like our death. You only live once, you're going to die soon. And that mentality pushes you towards, you should live it up. We have that same concept actually, this idea of YOLO. We have the same exact concept, but we don't end it with death. What do we end it with? Judgment Day. You actually, not YOLO, you only get one chance. You only get one chance and stand in front of Him and be proud of yourself. There is nothing you can do. There will be people, and this is like conversations in Quran, there will be people that beg, let me go back. Give me one more chance. And Allah hires angels to tell them like, that's it. You had your chance, bud. You're done now. This is it. You knew about this all along too. Don't even act like you didn't know. Don't cry now. Don't cry now. You don't get to cry now. You knew. We have that same concept as my point, but we have it for not just live in the moment, which you should live your life, by the way, but be accountable. Someday you're going to go back and you're going to be held accountable for everything that you've done, everything that you've thought. You're going to be held accountable. The ideas that you presented. Anyway, I was supposed to do a lot more than this, but I think we're done, yeah? Let's end with Surah Asr. If we can end the recording after Asr, and then I'll have a couple announcements for you guys, inshallah, okay? So everyone, all together, ready? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Very connected actually to what we just talked about. Allah says, I swear by time that's running out, every individual human being is drowning in loss except for those who believe and do good deeds and invite others to the truth and invite others with patience. May Allah reward you guys, and we'll see you guys next time, inshallah.